satisfies the following condition. Number 1, non-empty. Number 2, complementation. And number 3, finite union. Paano yon? So, ibig sabihin si omega nandun. Tapos yung complement naman niya, lahat ng complement ng particular set ay nandun din. And then yung isa, yung pangatlo, finite lang siya. Ibig sabihin A union B. A union B, union C. So alam natin yung mga number of sets. Hindi siya countable. Pero pag sigma algebra siya, number 1, of course, non-empty. Number 2, complementation. Number 3, countable union. Okay, so countable union siya. So meaning, kapag may mga na siya, marami na yung set mo, unions of A sub I or I is from 1 to infinity. So kukunin mo ngayon yung unions niya. Tapos yung may generated, kasama rin sigma algebra yon. Yung meron tayong unions, kukunin mo intersections, yung symmetric difference, yung difference. Kapag nakuha mo lahat sa isang set, so ibig sabihin sigma algebra siya, generated by that particular set. Pero sigma algebra yon, since yung mga points natin are infinite or accountably infinite. Kaya yun ang magkakaiba nun. Sige. So let's go now with tayo sa ating video number 4, which covers your first exam on Thursday. It's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock ng Thursday. So far, if ever, pero yung Friday nyo, anong available ng Friday nyo? If ever na after ng PE nyo, Mr. Boyko, anong oras ng PE nyo? This ibig sabihin, 5 onwards, pwede na kayo. Okay, so it's either Thursday or Friday. Sige, gawin ito para nakapahinga pa kayo 6 to 8:30. 6 to 8:30, 2.5 lang naman yung exam eh. So it's either Thursday or Friday ng 6 to 8:30 ng gabi. Okay, kasabay nyo yung lahat kayo, sabay-sabay kayong 5 section. Kasi parehas na yung coverage na nakuha ninyo. Okay, so kung may questions, isulat mamaya. So panoorin yung video. No, may medyo maliwanag ang pagkaka-explain ko dito, kaya walang tanong tayo ng umaga kasi wala silang problema, naintindihan nila. Sana maintindihan nyo din. Okay, share ko na. It's a 1 hour and 35 minutes na video. Hello class. Narinig na class? Meron sounds? Okay, sige. I-ano muna. Kung may mga tanong kayo o pwede kayo mag-chat sa group. Na mas accessible sa akin yung kasi may video dito eh. Mas mahirap hanapin yung chat niya. Dito lang sa group. Okay, so I'm back. So have a good day to everyone. And this is now the continuation of your video number 3, which is video number 4 that covers your first exam. So stay, relax, and enjoy in watching my video number 4. Okay, so let us try to answer the given example based on the PDF or the probability density function, given that the CDF, or have to find the CDF of that particular PDF. Okay, so derive the CDF given the following PDF. So the PDF is f of x is equal to the parenthesis 1 minus the absolute value of x, given that the indicator function is from -1 to 1 of x. So we can express the PDF in terms of f of x is equal to 1 plus the indicator function -1, 0 of x plus 1 minus x. Okay, since it's an absolute value, it can be a positive or negative value, where 1 is from 0 to 1 of x. So to find the CDF for any real number as follows, you are given your x is less than or equal to -1. So based on the previous examples. So your f of x is equal to the integral from negative infinity to x, f of u du. So this is now the definition of your CDF for a continuous or absolutely continuous random variable. Then we have to get the integral of 0, since it's the value of x less than -1 is 0, from negative infinity to x, which is equal to 0. Okay, so second is -1, the less than or equal to x less than 0. So therefore, the CDF is equal to the integral from negative infinity to x f of u du. So what is now your f of u du? So that would be what? That would be equal to the integral of negative infinity to negative 1, 0 du, okay? Plus integral from negative 1 to x, hinati natin, from negative infinity to 0 is 0 du kasi yung value ng ating f of u. Okay, so is equal to, yung una is 0 na siya. So ang mangyayari dito, kukunin lang natin yung part ng integral ng negative 1 to x, 1 plus u du. So therefore, we have now u plus u squared over 2, okay, evaluated from negative 1 to x. That is x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. How about x? Okay, how about your 0 is less than or equal to x is less than 1. So therefore, it's your f of x is equal to negative infinity to x, f of u du, which is now your definition for the given CDF. So from here, sabi natin, itong part na to is 0, right? Kasi yung part ng from negative infinity to negative 1 is 0. And then we have now the middle, from negative 1 to 0 plus 0 to x. No? So we have now 1 plus u du from negative 1 to 0 plus the integral of 1 minus u du from 0 to x based on the function given above. Okay, so from here we have to get now, this is 0, so this is now 0. Okay, so we have now this one is u plus u over 2 from negative 1 to 0 plus this one is u minus u squared over u from 0 to x. So therefore, if we simplify this part, then we have to get this part. So this is now your negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. And for x is greater than or equal to 1, your CDF is just equal to the integral of your fu du is from negative infinity to x. So hinati-hati ulit natin. Ito yung first part natin. No, ito naman yung negative 1 to 0. Ito naman yung 0 to 1. No? Plus ito naman yung yung sobra from 1 to x. Since given natin is between negative 1 to 1 lang. Okay? So again, we have to show that this must be equal to 1 since therefore this is now your CDF. Diba sabi natin sa definition ng CDF, yung pinaka-last part natin must be equal to 1. And yung ating properties ng CDF, that the limit of the CDF as n approaches to positive infinity or positive infinity is equal to 1. So therefore, itong part na to, kunin natin, this is again 0. And this is also 0. Okay? So, ang mangyayari, ito lang titila natin, u plus u squared over 2 from negative 1 to 0. Okay, plus u minus u squared from negative from 0 to 1. Okay, from 0 to 1. Kasi we're just pertaining to from negative 1 to 1. Kagaya ng sinabi ko, it must be closed or open, walang problema. Okay, so ang mangyayari dito, when we evaluate it, then this is equal to 1. So first, we have to find the CDF. Ipupunin natin first yung nakuha natin. So ano yun? This one. So this one would be x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. Okay, ang indicator function natin dyan is from negative 1 to x, which is negative 1 to x. Okay, so how about the another one which is negative 1 to 0 of x? Then this one. This part. Okay, itong part naman na ito is your negative x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. This is from 0 to 1. So this is from 0 to 1, correct? And then from 1 to infinity, so ito yung from 1 to infinity, we started from 1 to infinity is equal to 1. So therefore, this is 1. Okay, so from 1, where is now your 1 times 1 to infinity of x. So therefore, this is now the CDF of that given equation. Okay, so again now is the probability of a density function can be derived from the given CDF of a continuous random variable using the following formulas. In finding your CDF, we're given now the derivative of your CDF with respect to its variable. So find the PDF of the given CDF. This is our CDF, capital F. Sabi natin kanina, kung hahanapin natin si CDF, we have to integrate from negative infinity to x. Pero dito, kung hahanapin naman natin si PDF, given the CDF, we have to what? We have to get the derivative. So less than 0 is 0, of course. So therefore, it's greater than 0. So you have to get the derivative of this part, which is equal to 2 times 1 minus e raised to negative x times e raised to negative x. Okay? And that is now, ito na yung as 0 times, ito na, kasi 0 na yung una eh. So yung part na to would be 2 times 1 minus e raised to negative x equal from 0 to infinity. So this is 0 to infinity. Okay? Since this is now for less than 0 is 0. Kahit ano multiply mo yan, 0. Kaya this is now the formula of your PDF. So ganun lang ha. So again, let's recall that if in finding your CDF, it's just you have to integrate. By definition, the given function with respect to the variable from negative infinity to x. That is now your CDF. And for finding your PDF, we have to get the derivative of the CDF. Okay? So small f of x. Okay? So that is now your part. Okay? So another example. So a function, any function f of x, so f of that, with domain of the set of real numbers, and of course the counter domain is 0 to infinity, is said to be a probability density function if and only if it satisfies the definition. Kailangan yung f of x mo is always greater than or equal to 0 since it's a probability na for every x. And of course, the integral from negative infinity to infinity, positive infinity, is of the function x of x dx is just equal to 1. So dito napasok yung norming since getting the integral of that part is equal to 1 or getting the probability. Kaya yung probability yung pinag-uusapan natin na dito kasi nag-integrate na tayo. Hindi guys yung discrete, yung mismong probability na mismo, i-add mo lang siya dapat equal to 1. So we can now speak probability density function without any reference to any random variables. So this definition implies that the PDF of a random variable x must satisfy the above mentioned properties. Dito, dalawang property nito, kailangan masatisfy niya yan para masabi natin that is now your PDF. Your PDF, or to make that particular distribution a PDF. Okay, so example, let's go with the example. Find the value of C will make the function a valid CDF. To make it valid, kailangan it satisfy the given properties. So first, we have to find C that can be satisfied property number 2. Then verify if this choice of C will be satisfied for your property number 1. So given, sabi natin by definition, in finding, okay, kailangan daw 1 to, papalabas natin na 1. So by property number 2. So therefore, we have to get the integral from 0 to 1. This is now the function c of 1 minus x squared dx. So ginawa natin dito, plus the integral from 1 to 2 cx squared, which is equal to, we have to get the derivative of this, which is equal to negative c1 minus x cubed. Okay? Marunong naman tayong kumuha ng mag-integrate at kumuha ng derivative over 3, okay, from 0 to 1 plus, ito naman, integral ito. So cx cubed over 3 where c is constant from 0 to 1. So therefore, by getting the sum, we have now 8c over 3 is equal to 1 because it equates natin sa 1 to make it property number 2 must be satisfied. Therefore, the value of c is equal to 3 over 8. Okay, we let c is equal to 3 over 8. Then your a now 0 is less than x less than 1. your C1 minus x squared is greater than 0, correct? Since both factors are non-negativity or non-negative, and B now is 1 minus or less than or equal to x less than 2 equal to cx squared, there's also a positive number. So for the same reason. So therefore, property number 1 is satisfied at your C is 3 over 8. So choosing your C is equal to 3 over 8, make this particular function a valid CDF. Okay? So that is now your solution for testing whether the particular function is a valid of PDF. It must satisfy the property that your f of x is equal to or greater than or equal to 0, non-negativity, and of course the integral from negative infinity to infinity of given your f of x dx must be equal to 1. Okay, and that is now for your CDF. So again, for the next, okay, we have to find whether the given are finding the CDF and their probability. So this will be number 6. Okay, so number 7, number 8, and number 9 in preparation for your recitation. Okay, question. So let us discuss the other types of random variable. Okay, so definition, a cumulative distribution whose derivative is 0 at almost all points is called a singular continuous. So this is still not discrete distribution because the CDF has no points of discontinuities, so that the probability of probability of x is equal to A is always 0 and thus has no EMF. Okay. However, unlike the absolutely continuous random variable, the CDF of a singular continuous random variable can be expressed in terms of your f of x, which is your CDF is just the integral of your fu du, where they from negative infinity to x and thus has no PDF. Okay, so yan yung additional formula, additional types of random variable. Okay, so a cumulative distribution function may be represented in the form of your f of x is equal to p sub 1 f capital F means CDF raised to d of x plus p2 small p2 is f raised to ac of x plus p3 raised to f of sc of x, where p sub I is greater than or equal to 0, where I is from 1 to 3, and the summation of p sub I is always equal to 1, where I is from 1 to 3, and the p raised to d and p raised to ac or p raised to sc are such cumulative distribution function. Okay, and your f raised to d is discrete, f raised to AC is absolutely continuous, and f raised to SC is a singular continuous. So if P1 is equal to 1, then this CDF is a discrete random variable. If P2 is equal to 1, then your CDF of a absolutely continuous random variable. And if P3 is equal to 1, then the CDF is a singular continuous random variable. Otherwise, the CDF is called mixtures. Okay, so tapos ko yung CDF, yung different kinds of random variable, but we're going to focus only on your discrete and your absolutely continuous random variable. But before we go to the special distribution, we have now to get first the expectation, or the expectation is given to find what? What is your expected value? This is the mean of the distribution. Okay, so ito yung definition na kailangan natin kunin para magamit natin sa special distribution at makuha natin si mean at si variance ng special distribution using expectation. Okay, so let us define what is an expectation. So let x be a random variable. So the expected value of x, or we call this as the mean of x. denoted by E of X is defined to be for discrete. For discrete, this is just equal to the summation of X times your probability. If X is discrete, the of your PMF, which is your PMF is and the mass points. Okay, so this is just the product of the mass points multiplied by its probability and getting the sum. Okay, example. Sige, let's try an example. This is now your X. This is now your mass points. So this is now your P of X. Okay, this is now your P of X of X. Okay, let's say for example, we have now the following 1, tapos 1 over 8, ano pa? Tapos 2, 1 over 8 ulit. 3 is 1 half. And 4 is 1/4. Okay, so be sure that the sum of your probability is equal to 1. And to get the expected value of X, we have the expected E of X, expected value. This is just the sum, okay, the sum of the product between the mass points and corresponding probability. So ano yan? So 1 times 1 8, so 1 over 8 plus 2 times 1 8 is equal to 2 over 8 plus 2 times 1 half is 1, correct? And 4, this is 3. Your 3 na, sorry, this is 3 pala. Okay, this is now mali. Erase, let us erase. Ayusin natin para maayos. No, so this is now your, tama yan. So this is now 4. This is now 4. This is 4. This is 4 now is 1/4. Okay, how to get the expected value of it? 1 times 1/8 is 1 over 8. 2 times 1/8 is 2 over 8. And then 3 times 2 is 3 halves. Okay, so this is now 3 halves. And this is now 4 times 1/4 plus 1. Anong sagot dito? So we have to find the value, and the value would be equal to, so this is 3 over 8. So 3 over 8 plus 3 over 8, tama? Plus 3 halves, correct? 3 halves, correct ba? Yes, 3 halves. So LCD 8. So this is now 3 plus, this is what? This is 4, correct? 12. Correct? Correct? So 3 over 8 plus 3 over 2, which is 8. So this is 3 halves plus 8 divided by 2 is 4 is 12. So 15. So 15. So 1 and 15 over 8. Or convert this into decimal kung ngayon. Okay, so again, ito yung 1 mo kasi, ito ay correct ba? Correct. So this is now your less common denominator, which is your 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1 times 3 is 3. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15 over 8. May 1 tayo dito. 1 and 15 over 8 would be your expectation of X, or this is the mean of X. Ayun. Okay, so that is now the expectation for a discrete random variables. I-multiply mo lang si mass points times yung 1 over 8, yung kanyang probability, si 2, si mass point, i-multiply mo kay 1 over 8, which is this is 1 over 8 times 1 is 1 over 8. 2 times 1 over 8 is 2 over 8, correct? 2 over 8, and this is now your 3 times 1/2 is 3 halves plus 1, or simply, madali pa pa, 15 over 8 is what? 15 over 8 is somewhat 1 and plus 1, magiging siyang 2, and 7 over 8. So therefore, this is the mean. Pagkuha mo ng mean, not necessarily between 0 to 1 because hindi naman siya probability. This is a mean. So therefore, we can also get a mean greater than 1. Di ba? Sabi niyo, sir, bakit to? Bakit pag nilagay ko sa 2? Di ba sabi niyo hanggang 1 lang? Hindi siya probability. Yung probability lang ang between 0 to 1. See? 2 and 7 over 8 is your mean or the expected value of x. Or the mean value of x. Kaya okay lang na sumobra siya. Okay? Pero ibig sabihin, the concept is that we're just getting the sum of the product between the corresponding mass points multiplied by its probability, then getting the sum is called the mean or the expectation of x. Maliwanag. Okay, so the expectation is actually referred to as the mean of the distribution of x because this is really the measures of your central tendency. For instance, when x is discrete, u of x is the weighted mean of the values of the random variable. Okay, so takes on where each value is weighted by the probability that the random variable is equal to the value. So values that are more probable receive heavier weights than those with smaller chances of occurrence. So the same is true in the integral form of for the mean of a continuous random variable. Sa discrete lang ina-apply yon. Okay, so I'll give you an example. A merchant stocks a certain perishable item. He knows that on any given day, he will have a demand for 2, 3, or 4 of these items with probability 0.1, 0.4, and 0.5 respectively. So what is the average daily demand? So let x be the random variable which is demand for the item in a day. So therefore, getting the probability is just multiplying 0.1 with the indicator function which is the probability. Okay, the probability of that particular distribution. So 0.1, and then we have now 0.4 multiplied with 0.4. That's the probability multiplied by yung indicator of 2 of x is your what? Is your mass points. So therefore 0.4 is the probability and 0.5 is the probability multiplied by its mass point at 3 and mass point at 4. Therefore the u of x or the mean daily demand is just the summation of the product of the mass point multiplied by its corresponding probability. Kaya ano nangyari? Yung 0.1 which is your probability, correct? Multiplied by 2 which is the demand or the mass points. Then 0.4 is the probability multiplied by 3. And 0.5 is the probability multiplied by 4, then getting the sum of their products is 3.4. And on the demand, the daily demand is of the item is 3.4. Okay? So note that the mean can may not be one of the mass point, but it must be within the range of the values of x. Okay? Example number 2. The weekly repair cost for a machine has a probability density function. Okay? Probability density function given by, this is PDF to, 1.5 times 1 minus x squared, the indicator function 0 to 1 of x, with measures in thousands of pesos. So what is the average daily repair? So therefore, let x be the repair cost per week, and you are given the given distribution, which is 1.5 times 1 minus x squared times the indicator function of 0, 1 of x. So therefore, the daily mean is just multiplying f of x dx from the integral, from negative infinity to positive infinity. That would be the mean, right? So ano ngayon yung ating so atin, indicator mo 0 to 1, 0 to 1. So ito yung x mo, ito yung distribution mo. Kailangan may x ka dito. Ito yung distribution mo na 1.5, 1 minus dx. So integrate natin siya. So ang mangyayari dyan, labas mo sa 1.5, ipasok, magiging siyang ngayon? So 1.5 kasi constant, the integral of x times 1 minus x squared, then dx. Okay. So, anong nangyari ngayon? Ito, naging siyang ito, i-distribute mo, magiging siyang ngayon? So, x minus x cube. Right? Parenthesis natin. Dx. So, anong mangyayari ngayon? So, mangyayari ngayon ay x squared over 2 minus x to the fourth. Kasi to, cube to cube. X to the fourth over 4. Ito yung constant natin na 1.5 sa labas. So, ito na yon. Evaluate natin 0 to 1 since you're going to get it. Since your indicator from 0 to 1 is 0.0375, and that is what? In thousand of pesos multiplied by 1,375 pesos. And that is now your weekly repair cost. So tandaan, kapag discrete, kukunin mo yung summation ng product, ng mass points, at ng corresponding probability. Kapag naman tayo ay absolutely continuous, integrate natin si x times yung distribution ni x with respect to the variable. And evaluate, it depends on your indicator function in getting the mean or the expected value, the expectation of that particular variable x. Okay? So therefore, this is more general definition of the mean. Okay, lakihan natin ng konti. Of the mean than the one version is that previous standard basic statistics, which is restricted to finite population. However, under this general definition, the mean will not exist if it is, therefore, the summation of x times the absolute value of x times distribution is finite for case wherein x is discrete. And the integral of the absolute value of x times the PDF with respect to x is finite for the case where x is continuous. Okay? So, I'll give you another sasagutan. Masagutan natin to kasi recitation. Kailangan yung makapag-recite. Siguro I will give you isang araw na lahat tayo ay recitation at wala tayong video na papanoorin. Pang number 9 na yun kanina, di ba? Number 10, number 11, number 12, and number 13. So, 13 na bago magre-recite, no? Okay, so yan yung natin. Next is the expectation of a function of a random variable. So let x be a random variable and your g of x be a function with domain and base and the domain and the counter domain, the real line. The expectation of the function g of the function of the random variable x is denoted by the expectation of your g of x, is defined to be, of course, kapag discrete summation lang ng g of x times sa distribution. Ibig sabihin, g of x is a function na hindi siya real number, hindi siya mass point. So siya yung mismo yung function. Times the corresponding probability, I can get the product and get the summation all over kung ilan man yung particular, lahat yung variable natin. If x is discrete with PMF, p of x, and the mass points given by your x sub 1, x sub 2, up to, depends, x sub j, and so on, countably infinite. And for the integration, it's the same lang. So, nag-get ka ng product ng probability. Saka yung mass points, which is the mass point is not given here. It is a function. And of course, you have to get the integral of that particular g of x multiplied by the given distribution, which is your f of x from negative infinity to positive infinity under r. Diba under r yan? Okay, with x now is continuous given the PDF is your f of x. This expectation is defined only if the series of this part is convergent or if the integral is also convergent. Tandaan, kailangan convergent. They have now your subject ang convergent. You have advanced calculus. Take na kayo ng advanced calculus, you're taking your convergent. Okay, and then example, sige, ito na yon, nahanapin natin siguro ito ang variance. So madali lang hanapin ang expectation of x. Okay, this is now whose PMF is given by this, and this PMF now is your, what we call your discrete DU, discrete uniform. So this is now the first formula for the special distribution. Discrete uniform to P of x 1 over n times indicator function 1 to up to n of x. So therefore, pupukunin mo yung kanyang mean. Sabi natin ang formula niya is summation of n 1 over n. Is si 1 over n. So anong mangyayari ngayon? So constant yan. So kukunin mo sa summation of x, where x is from 1 to n, this is just equal to So kukunin mo lang si sum ng 1 to x, 1 to 1 to n. Sum of 1 to n lang siya, parang yung n, itong x mo na to, parang lang yan kung using your, pares lang naman using your discrete and your continuous, absolutely continuous random variable x times yung distribution. Same as here, x times yung distribution. No, ay si x ngayon, itilabas mo si 1 over n, summation of x from 1 to n. Ano ba yung mag-sum ka lang? Using your series, your sequence and series. Paano ka mag-sum ng dalawang numbers na magkasunod? From 1 to 100, di ba? Mamultiply mo lang 100 times 101 over 2 to 2n, or 2n now is yung n mo pala nandito. Ito yun, no? Ito yung formula mo lang. Ito lang yung formula mo. Pagkukuha ka ng sum, ito lang yung formula mo. So, ibig sabihin, kung 100, sum ng 1 to 100 is 100 times 101 over 2. Okay, which is now n times n plus 1 over 2. Since may n siya dito sa labas, pwede mong i-cancel si n. So, anong nangyari? n plus 1 over 2. Yan lang ang mean ni discrete uniform. Okay, how about your expectation of your x squared? Okay. Instead of x, ilagay mo lang siyang x squared. So, 1 over x squared times 1 over n, ilabas si 1 over n. Sinatira summation of x squared. So, paano ka mag-sum ng dalawang magkasunod na naka-square? n times n plus 1 plus 2n plus 1 over 6. Yung natin, cancel mo ngayon si n, ayan na siya. So, ang natira ay n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 over 6. So, therefore, ito yung expectation of x squared. Tandaan nyo expectation of x saka expectation of x squared ang pinapahanap dito sa discrete uniform. So itong dalawang to yung answer. Okay, dito, continuous naman. So this distribution, your f of x is what we call your continuous uniform. Ayan, discrete uniform, continuous uniform. Your f of x is equal to 1 over b minus a times the indicator function. Ang kanyang indicator function is a and b of x. So, mayroon ka a and b of x. Okay, so hanapin natin expectation of x. Paano hanapin? Ay di yung simpleng formula, integral from a to b, kasi a to b yung given mo na indicator, tapos ito x times 1 over bx. Ilabas mo si 1 over bx. So anong matitira pag inilabas mo ito? So magiging ngayon siyang 1 over b minus a. b minus a, the integral of your x dx from a to b. Ayan. So ito na ngayon yon. So anong lalabas mo si x squared over 2, di ba? Magiging siyang x squared over 2 times ito, ayan lang, from a to b. So evaluate b, minus natin na si a. Therefore, ito na yung lumabas, which is your a plus b over 2. Pag final answer natin. In getting your expectation of x squared, so instead of x, gawin mo siyang x squared. So ilabas mo ulit ngayon si 1 over b minus a. So ulit na ngayon ay the integral of x squared dx a to b. So magiging siyang x cubed over 3. So evaluate ab. So ang final answer would be your 2a squared plus AB plus B squared over 3. So ito ngayon yung expectation of X. Ito yung expectation of X squared. Okay? Example number 3. So a retail grocer has a daily demand X. Okay? For a certain food sold by the kilo, where X is measured in hundreds of kilos and has a PDF of f of x is equal to 3x squared times the indicator function of 0, 1 of x. So the grocer wants to know how much food or to order that will maximize his expected daily profit if he buys the food at 6 pesos per kilo and sell it at 9 pesos per kilo. Okay, so let x be the random variable and x would be the daily demand. In case the amount of food ordered, and you are given this daily profit, which is your g of x. Okay, so we're going to find the expected value of your p. And what is your p? The daily profit. So the expectation of it. The expectation of P is just the expectation of this. No? So 6x minus 6k, okay, times the indicator function 0k of x plus 4k. Okay, your indicator function is k to 1. Okay. K to 1 kasi sinimplify natin itong 10k minus 6k, which is now your 4k. Okay? Ayun na siya. A of x. Okay. So from that, we have to get, since this is contiguous, we have to get the integral from 0 to k yung nauna, which is your 10x minus 6k, 3x squared dx. Ano saan galing yung 3x squared dx? Ayun. So ito ngayon yung g nyo. Ito yung g. Okay, yung g natin, ito ngayon yung ating distribution, which is your 3x squared, 0 to 1. Okay, product. And then this is now your 4k. 4k times yung 3x squared mo, which is k to 1. Okay, naka-base tayo sa indicator nito. Ito ang given natin. Kasi yun yung daily profit na hinahanap natin. Okay, so since the indicator naman of that particular 3x squared is just your 0 to k, 0 to 1, which is also included in here, 0 to k. Okay, so anong nangyari ngayon? In-integrate natin siya. Nung ma-integrate na siya, ito yung kinalabasan niya, plus ito yung kinalabasan ng isa. So which is equal to 4k minus 2.5k to the 4th. Then to maximize, no? To maximize that to 5k, and I will say that will maximize this one, we have to get the derivative of this. The derivative is 4 minus 10k q is equal to 0. Therefore, the value of k is 0.4 raised to 1/3. So, hinahanap dito is yung k ang hinahanap natin na maximize na the value, which is your k is equal to 0.4 raised to 1/3. Okay? So, tapos na tayo sa expectation, and that would be the mean of the variable x. Maliwanag? So, let's proceed now with the variance. Para pagdating naman natin sa distribution, sa special distribution, alam na natin yung pagkuha ng mean and variance of that particular distribution. Kaya inuna ito. So, intindihin nyo ito dahil siguro sa exam hindi mawawala ang pagpapahanap ko ng mean at variance ng isang distribution function. So let x be a random variable and let ux be the mean of x or the expectation of x. Okay, the expectation of x is equal to the expectation of x, which is equal to mu of x. Okay, so the variance of x is denoted by sigma squared sub x. It's the variance of x. Okay, which is defined to be your expectation of x minus mu of x squared. Yun. X squared. Hindi nasakop. And siya. Ayun siya. Okay. So to get that, we have to write the variance of x is getting the product of your x sub j minus mu squared times your distribution or probability for discrete random variable. Case discrete, then the PMF is also discrete for x sub 1 to x sub p of x sub j. So kukunin mo lang yung product nito times yung distribution, get the summation. And for the variance, this is just equal to what? This is just equal to kung ating kinuha yung summation, dito kukunin mo yung product. Then, nung x minus mu squared times the distribution of your x and get the integral. Para instead the x lalagay mo dito, makuha mo na expectation, then mo x minus mu quantity squared kasi you are getting the variance. And that would be the continuous for f of x. So therefore, ito yung definition natin ng variance. The variance is a measure of dispersion, of course. Take up natin yan sa MMW or dun sa inyong senior high school stat. Okay, since the variance of x tends to be larger if the value of x are far from the mean or the center. Siyempre, pag scattered yan, napakalaki ng variance yan, napakalaki ng standard deviation yan. Then if the values are concentrated about the mean, kung concentrated about the mean yung mga values mo, malapit lang sa mean ng center, sa center na tawag natin, therefore, maliit yung value ng standard deviation. Okay, so the standard deviation of x is defined as the positive square root of the variance. Alam naman natin yan, the positive square root of the variance. It is also the measures of dispersion and generally more prepared. Sa lahat, kahit sa inference, mean at variance ang hinahanap. It is expressed in the same unit as the unit of random variable itself. Okay, so let's go now with the example. Okay, so for discrete lang tayo. So 5 equally qualified applicants, 3 men and 2 women. Applying for a 3 position. So the APC decided to select the 3 at random. Let x defined to be the number of women hired. Compute for the standard deviation of x. So compute for the standard deviation of x. So therefore your P of x now is equal to, so 2 taken, number of women. Kasi nahanap natin kasi yung x mo, number of women hired. So therefore 2, from 2 women, take it x. Then 3 men, 3 taken yung 3 minus x. Okay? So over, in total, 5. Yung sum nito is 5. Okay? Yung sum nito dapat ay 3. Okay? So given the indicator function as a discrete 0, 1, 2. Pwedeng walang babae, isang babae, dalawang babae, ang makukuha mo, yun yung values of x. Therefore, from here, to get your mu of x, anong ginagawa natin? Kukunin mo ngayon yung summation nito from 0 to 2 times x. Kasi kinukuha mo yung expectation of x. Kaya yung nangyari ngayon, nagkaroon ka ng values of x dito sa unahan kasi kinuha mo yung expectation by definition. And this is now your P of x. Di ba ang definition natin na pakuha ng mean is just x times P of x. Ang P of x mo itong buong to. This is your P of x. Ito ngayon yun. Ito yung x mo para makuha mo si mu of x which is equal to what? Expectation of x. So therefore, ano yan? Yung una kung 0 siya, 0 times 1 over 10. 1 over 10 yung ating value nito. No? 0 ang ginagawa sa x, 0 to. So itong part na to ay substitute natin si 0, 0, 0. So kung makukuha nyo, magiging siyang 1 over 10. So ngayon, kunin mo naman at 1. Ito at 1. So 1 times 6 over 10 to. 1 to. Ikunin mo si 2. 2 yan. Ito ay maging 3 over 10. Isum up mo lahat sila. Therefore, 1.2 is your expectation of x. Okay, so next, ayun na siya. To compute for the standard deviation, since standard deviation ang hinahanap natin, so your mu, okay, so kalawin mo na yung variance, then kunin the square root of that particular variance is your standard deviation. Therefore, substitute natin. May mean ka na, di ba? Anong mean mo? Ano na compute natin mean? Ang mean natin ay 1.2, so therefore, x minus 1.2 kasi yx minus mu. Your mu of x is 1.2 quantity squared times yung distribution. Okay, let's substitute ulit natin. No, yung 0 for 0, for 1, for 2. Therefore, ang nakuha variance ay 0.36. And getting the standard deviation of x, getting the square is 0.6. Therefore, your final answer would be 0.6 since ang hinahanap natin ay standard deviation. Okay, so the variance is defined only if the series in 1 is convergent, so in case of a random variable x, or if the integral in 2 is convergent in case that the continuous random variable x. Example, consider the given PDF. PDF yan, 2 over x cubed times the indicator function 1 to infinity of x. Find the mean and the variance. So to get the mean, we have the definition is now your x times the distribution, your f of x mo, ayan. And then from 0 to, from 1, ayun, 1 to infinity, dito nyo makikita yung mga numbers na ilalagay nyo dito sa ating integral. So, evaluate natin, which is 2. Okay, the variance now. Paano yung variance? Yung formula kanina, nakuha mo na si 2. So, x minus 2 squared times the distribution is equal to what? Get the integral. ln of x plus 8 over x minus 4 over x squared divided from 1 to infinity is equal to infinity. So, infinity, since the integral is not convergent, infinity siya. So then the variance does not exist at this particular distribution. Okay? So the variance of a random variable is non-negative. Ayusin yan kasi baka lumabas sa exam sa true or false yan. And true or false nyo pa 1 to 15. So ang bilis. 15 minutes, 1 minute per number. Kaya kailangan maging maayos. Number na tayo. Number 14. 10, 11, 14 na tayo kanina, di ba? So number 15, number 16, number 17, number 17. Okay, so let's go now with the properties of expectation. Theorem, yung mga proof ng theorem. So, madali lang naman itong hanapin pag-aralan ninyo. That the expectation of a constant is the constant C. That expectation of A times G of X, ilalabas natin si A. Okay, kayo na, please do the proof as your exercise. So A times the expectation of G of X. So kung ganyan, may plus B tayo dito. So ang mangyayari, ilabas mo muna, paghiwalayin mo. So magiging siyang expectation of A times G of X. Tama? Okay. Plus the expectation of B. I-distribute natin si expectation sa bawat term. No, ito kanina by 2 here now is A times the expectation of G of X. Diba? So ngayon, expectation of a constant from A, from 1, is equal to B. That's why nakuha natin ito. And of course, si C naman, same, ilalabas ito siya. Pwede mo ilabas, no? Ito si summation, ilalabas mo si expectation ay mapupunta sa loob. Pwede mong ipasok sa loob na expectations. As expectation dun sa loob ni summation, ilabas mo yung constant. So ito lang ang kukunan mo ng expectation. So those are the properties of the expectation. So kung nakuha natin yan, suppose you are given a random variable with mean is equal to 4. Evaluate the following. Expectation of 2x. Ilabas mo si 2 by number 2, magiging expectation of x. But what is expectation of x is 4, therefore it's A. Okay, here, iwalay natin. So, magiging 2 expectation of x minus the expectation of 5. But what is expectation of 5 is still 5. So, therefore, ano siya? I-substitute si 4. Therefore, it's equal to 3. Napaka-basic. No? Para lang tayong grade 1. Okay. So, theorem. Ayan. So, for random variable, x is a random variable. So, the variable, the variance can be expressed in terms of this. Okay, so kanina meron tayong ito yung madaling way ng pagkuha ng variance. So the variance of x is just equal to the expectation of x squared. Nakuha natin kanina yan, yung equation of x saka sa expectation of x squared. Ito, expectation of x quantity squared. Ano to? Yung nasa loob ay mean. Nakuha mo na natin si mean. So makukuha mo na ngayon si variance. Kaya kailangan provided natin yung expectation of x squared. Okay? Kanina kinuha natin yan, mga previous example, expectation of x sa expectation of x squared. Nakuha na rin natin ngayon si expectation. So kung i-square mo lang yun, so makukuha mo na ngayon si variance. Ito yung proof niya. Ayan, napaka-basic na naman ng proof. In-square mo lang ito kasi ito yung definition ng variance. So ayan siya, expand natin siya. Ito yung expansion nito. Tapos itong part na to, ito na yun, expectation of x squared. Itong part na to, pwede mo siyang substitute, no? Or pwede itong part na to, ano nangyari dito? No? So, pwede mo pagsamahin. Expectation of x, no? So, itong part na to, pwede mo pagsamahin. So, pakalabas lang niya ay which is mu of x squared. But ano ba si mu of x? Si mu of x is just the expectation of x squared. Square mo siya, expectation of x squared. Okay, so find the variance of the PM that we've given kanina. Ano ba ito? This is now your discrete uniform du. Right? So ngayon kukunin mo, ito yung nakuha natin expectation of x. Ito yung expectation of x squared. I-substitute natin. So ito siya. Minus the square of this. Simplify natin. Makukuha natin ay n squared minus 1 over 12. And that is now the variance of a discrete uniform. Okay, how about number 2? Find the variance yung kaninang function natin na continuous uniform. So ano ito ngayon expectation niya? Ito yung x squared niya. So ngayon ito siya minus yung square nito, then simplify natin. Ito yung kinalabasan. Therefore, this is now the variance of a continuous uniform. Kanina, nakuha natin si mean. Ngayon, nakuha si variance. Therefore, si discrete uniform at si continuous uniform ay nakuha ko na yung mean and variance. And up to, sa akin, next time, susunod ng mga video, kukunin naman natin yung mean and variance of other special distribution. Okay? So, properties of variance. Kanina, properties of expectation. Ngayon, properties of variance. And remember that the variance of a constant is 0. Kasi kanina, expectation of a constant is a constant. Same constant dito, the variance of any constant is 0. The variance of a times the g of x is equal to, lahat ng ilalabas mo sa variance ay square mo. Then, matitira yung variance of gx. Gaya nito, no? I-distribute mo si variance again. Okay. Ito na yun. So, a square, ito yung from 2. Okay, plus the variance of v. What is your v is constant plus, dapat plus 0. So it's 0 siya, hindi natin sinama. Tinanggal natin. Kaya ito pa rin yung value niya. For example, meron kayong variance of, the variance of 10 is the variance of 10 is equal to the variance of 15. Is that equal? Yes or no? They are equal since the variance of a constant is 0 and the variance of a constant is always 0. For example, the variance of x plus 2 is that equal to the variance of x plus 10. Are they equal? Yes or no? Of course, they are equal. Ito ay variance of x plus variance of 2. The variance of 2 is 0. Therefore, this is the variance of x. Ito naman, the variance of x plus the variance of 10. The variance of 10 is 0. Therefore, it's also the variance of x. Tandaan ha, tandaan mabuti. Kagaya example, expectation is x15, ang mean mo ay 2. So substitute natin by the formula, ayan siya, so 11. Variance of 5, ilabas mo si 5, nagiging square. Basta variance ha, 25 times the variance of x is 11, 275. Ito, parehas sa variance of 11, no, kasi variance of x parehas siya. Ang variance of x mo ay, pag kinumpit natin ay 11. Kasi kahit plus or minus, kagaya nito, kahit plus or minus din yan, basta constant, still they have the same variance. Okay? Let's go now with the Chebyshev inequality. Ayan, so ito yung magandang inequality na pinanggalingan ni Cochran. No? So pagdating natin sa 2, sa Mathstat 2 ay pag-aaralan natin si Chebyshev. Alam nyo ba na PhD ko ay lahat inequality sa pinag-aralan namin. And more than 50 plus inequalities, iba't ibang klaseng assumptions, iba't ibang klaseng definition ng different inequalities. Kailangan alam mo yan. No? Na alam mo dapat lahat. One is your Chebyshev inequality is one of the most popular, same as Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Ang dami klaseng inequality. May CR inequality pa nga. No, CR inequality. The Chebyshev inequality says that if x is a random variable with finite variance, then the probability of x minus mu of x is greater than or equal to r is less than or equal to the variance over r squared for every r greater than 0, or equivalently, the probability of x minus mu of x, or that is your expectation of x, less than r is greater than or equal to 1 minus the variance of x over r squared for every r greater than 0. Makikita natin dito, this is greater than or equal r, tapos less than or equal. Okay, pero ito lang siya. Dito naman, 1 minus tayo kasi nga binaliktad natin, ginawa natin less than to, at ito naman ay naging greater than, so ito yung given. And this definition gives you the definition of the Chebyshev inequality provided that that particular variance sigma squared of x is finite. Ibig sabihin nun, pag nakakita kayo ng ganitong less than or equal to 0, yung given mo dapat ay finite. Okay? Example, for continuous case, we have now the variance. Ito yung formula natin ng variance. Ayan. So, ginawa natin, natihati natin. Negative to mu r, ito siya. Then mu r mu minus r, mu plus r, ito siya. And mu r positive infinity. Natihati natin yung ating variance since it's negative infinity to positive infinity. So, nagkaroon tayo ng mu minus r at saka mu plus r. So, omitting the non-negativity, middle integral gives the inequality. So, ano nangyari dito? Ano nangyari? Ito na yon, mu, negative, ito yon. Tapos ito yung dulo, tinanggal natin ito. So, pagtanggal mo dyan, magiging greater na ito, correct. Tinanggal mo kasi So ito, hindi na siya magiging equal, magiging ng greater kasi tanggal ka lang portion. So ngayon ito na lang siya. So from here, itong part na to ay equal dito. Halos parehas lang, di ba? Equal siya dito. Isang part na to pinagsama natin. Okay, so pero yung ating description that x minus mu, natin lakihan pa natin, ano to, x minus mu is greater than or equal to r. Okay, ito yun. So therefore, this part, palitan natin to ng r, so magiging siya ngayong r squared times f of x. Okay, ito yung given natin. But this form gives you, since this is now x minus mu is greater than or equal to r, so it's the x minus mu is equal to the square root of x minus mu squared, which is greater than or equal to r. Therefore, the variance is your r squared times the probability of x minus greater than. But what is this? We can use this as well. This is now your Chebyshev inequality. Chebyshev CI. Pero hindi naman siya confidence interval. This is the Chebyshev inequality. Therefore, the Chebyshev inequality allows us to find an upper bound of the probability, which is this. Okay? Lies between this, even without knowing the density function of x, so long as its mean and its known variance. Let's continue. Example number 1. Suppose the PDF of x is given by this, which is your e raised to negative x times the indicator function of from 1 to infinity of x. Compute the exact probability that x takes on a value more than 2 standard deviation away from the mean. So your e of x is 1 and the variance is 1. So therefore, applying the formula, so we have now your x minus mu is greater than your 2 sigma. So since we're talking about 2 standard deviation, okay? So is equal to the probability of, since this is 1, okay, so this is 2, ang 1 mo rin ito, substitute natin, x minus 1, okay, so greater than, okay, so we have 2 times 1, which is 2, which is equal to the probability of x minus 1 less than negative 2, kasi naka-absolute value tayo, plus x minus 1 greater than 2. Okay, so therefore we have to simplify the probability of x is less than negative 1 plus the probability is greater than 3. Okay, and the probability less than negative 1 is based on the given is wala siya, 0 to infinity, so therefore this is 0. So this is now greater than 3. So for greater than 3, we have 3 to infinity, okay, e raised to negative x dx, which is equal to e raised to negative 3, which is equal to 0.0498. So this is now the exact or the probability of x that takes on more than 2 standard deviation from its mean. It is known to be 1, but the PDF is unknown. So find the upper bound for the probability as 4 in part A. Okay, so therefore, the given is the probability of x minus mu is greater than 2r. So by Chebyshev inequality, applying the formula, okay, we have the probability of x minus mu is greater than 2. Okay, which is less than or equal to sigma squared over r squared, and your sigma squared is equal to 1. Okay, mine over 2 raised to 2, no? Which is 0.25. For r here is equal to 2. For r here is equal to 2. Using the Chebyshev inequality. Okay, so hindi ka na gumamit ng mean sa part na to. Ginamit mo lang ay, ayun yung mean natin, no? Ito yung part ng Chebyshev inequality. Ginamit natin dito sa part. Therefore, that would be less than or equal to 1/4. Okay, yung value is less than or equal to 1/4. Okay, then number 2. So suppose that distribution of scores on an IQ test has a mean of 100 and the standard deviation of 16. Find the lower bound for the probability that students select random will have an IQ between 52 and 148. So therefore, let x be the IQ of the student. So the mean is 100, given naman, and your standard deviation 16. So we have to find the probability of 52 is less than x. Is less than 148. So we have 52 minus 100. Okay. Nag-minus tayo ng mu. Ito. Mu. Okay. So it's less than x minus 100. Nag-multiply natin lahat ng side. So therefore, from that is equal to the probability of x minus mu is less than 48. Now, which is greater than or equal to 1 minus sigma squared, or the variance over r squared, which is 1 minus 16 squared over 48 squared, which is 0.89. So that is now, sinabsitute lang natin yung mga given na value. Dito, nag-minus tayo ng mu, which is 100. Dito yon. So this is equivalent, since nag-minus na tayo ng mu, gumamit tayo ng x minus mu, right? It's positive and negative, kaya naka-absolute. So which is less than, yung compute natin is 48, which is greater than or equal to 1 minus the variance is 16 all over r squared. So what is your r squared? Is your 48. Ito yung value. Substitute natin dito yung value ng r. So therefore, we have now 0.89 is the answer. Okay, so another exercises. Ano tayo kanina? So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 na to. 15, 16. So we have now 15, 16, 16. Okay, dalawa lang. So 15 and 16. So from the variance, you already finished the mean and the variance of the distribution. So let's go now with the moments and quantiles. So definition, if x is a random variable, we mu sub r prime, or we call this as e, x to the rth, okay, this r, is the rth moment of x if the expectation exists. So first thing to do is to find the expectation. If the expectation e of x exists, therefore, you have to find the rth moment. Ang rth moment ay binibigay siya ng mu sub r prime. It depends yung r mo kung ano yung hinahanap mo. Kung hinahanap mo ay cube, so mu sub 3 prime. That is the third moment of x. Maliwanag? And yung walang prime, yung walang central or center. So mu sub r, mu sub 3 is expectation of x minus mu sub x raised to the r power. Example, ang r mo is 3, then expectation of x minus mu sub 3, mu x cube. Okay, so ang malalaman mo naman, makakompute mo naman yung mu sub x. And mu sub x is your expectation of x. So you can substitute, and that would be the, for example, the third central moment of x about the mean. Okay, and your mu sub r is your factorial moments. That would be, depende yan, ano yan. Depende yan. So, pabawa 3 siya, o siya, expectation of x minus, pag 3 siya, no? Pag 3, expectation of x times x minus 1 times x minus 2, close. Pangatlong bilang lang siya. And that is your third factorial moment of x. So, anong nangyayari? So anong nangyayari dito? No? So, from here, okay, the mean and the variance can be expressed in terms of a row moment. Okay? So the mean of your expectation of x is a mu sub 1 prime, which is the first moment. So therefore, ano yung expectation of x squared? Yung kanina, that is the second moment. No? That would be the second moment. Okay. Then the variance would be mu sub 2 prime minus mu sub 1 prime squared. Okay, ito yung definition ng variance. Kunin mo second prime, no? Mu expectation of x squared minus expectation of x quantity squared. And that would be the variance. The mean and the variance can also be expressed in terms of factorial moments. It is easier to derive factorial moments than row moments for some random variable, usually discrete. Therefore, expectation of x is just mu of 1. First factorial moment. Therefore, your variance is mu sub 2 plus mu sub 1 minus mu sub 1 quantity squared. Okay, so tayo makuha ng variance using your factorial moments. Okay, example. Let's go with the example. Derive the mean and the variance of a random variable whose PMF is given by this. So this part, or this is what we call your binomial distribution. Binomial distribution, and binomial distribution is also a distribution under discrete case, no? So kagaya ng discrete uniform, isa yon. Binomial, isa yon, isang member yon. So therefore, so at where n and p are constants, and n is a positive integer and p is a real number between 0 to 1, since p now representing your probability. Example ng symbol nito ay x now. X is a binomial distribution with parameter, binomial yan, d sub I, n, p. Okay, so at that point, we have to find the first factorial. The first factorial is your mean, which is just this one. Okay, so paano hinahanap yan? We try to solve this as an exercise. Okay, yung pangalawa, second factorial, ito. O yan. So, ibig sabihin, your x now is ito yon. Ito yung expectation, may x dito eh. So try to solve this. We're going to solve this using your, pagdating natin sa chapter 3, yung special distribution. So ito ngayon, ay ito muna siya, ito siya, which is equal to x minus times distribution. So sinimplify dito, ayan, if xj is equal to minus 2, and then nakuha natin ito, and then we substitute sa factorial notation. Therefore, we have this np times 1 minus p, and 1 minus p, and we can write this as q. Therefore, the variance of x is equal to np and q. Define to be your q as what? 1 minus p. Maliwanag? The first central moment about ux is 0. So the second moment about ux is the variance of x. So pag central, variance of x na second. Bakit? Paano yung ginagawa natin kanina? Based on the definition kanina ng second central. So mu sub 2 central 2 is equal to the expectation of x minus mu sub x to the second power, and that is now your variance of x. Okay, so the skewness, the skewness of a density function can be measured in terms of the third central moment about the mean. The degree of asymmetry of the density function is often measured using the coefficient of skewness under mu sub 3 over sigma sub 3. So in general, mu sub 3 over sigma sub 3 is less than 0, is skewed to the left. If mu sub 3 over sigma sub 3 is greater than 0, it's skewed to the right. And of course, it's equal to 0, it's symmetric. The pickedness of a distribution can be measured on the fourth central moment. And this is now your kurtosis, right? So for a certain density function, a measure of kurtosis, the coefficient mu sub 4, sigma sub 4, if minus 3 is less than 0, it's platyquartic. Okay, it's leptoquartic kapag greater than, kapag less than is platy, and kapag equal ay mesoquartic. Okay, so next is the definition for quantiles. So the qth quantile of a random variable is denoted by this Greek letter chi. Psi is defined as the smallest p satisfying that the CDF of B is greater than or equal to Q. So the median of a random variable x is denoted by mid of x is the 5.5 yet quantiles. So the first and the third quantile is 0.25 th and 0.75 th quantiles respectively. So therefore, the given PMF for quantile, so given ka nito, it is discrete, find your Q1, Q2, and Q3. So this is your given. So from here, your Q1 is 1, and your Q2 is 2, and Q3 is 3. So I try to substitute and find it. Okay, if x is continuous random variable, the Qth quantile of x is given the smallest number, satisfying this. So given the PDF is equal to this, find the median. So this is now your f, this is now your, ginagawa natin, nahanap ng integral, di ba? Okay, so the median between 0 and 2 is the smallest b, such that is equal to 0.5. So therefore, x squared over 4 is monotonically increasing function in the interval 0, 2. So the median of the value is b squared over 4 is 0.5. Therefore, the median is square root of 2. Nangyari is, manipulate natin to. So makukuha mo median is take square root of 2 and your mu of x equal to 1 1/3 derive mo yon. So therefore, the general e of x and the median are equally only if the density function is symmetric. No? Symmetric siya, they are equal. So another kasagutan natin, ano na ata, 20 na ata. Ito, masagutan nyo yan, sagutan nyo yan, hindi ko na alam anong number dahil dito na ako. And then, kasama yan sa recitation. Siguro one meeting na lang yung recitation, sabay-sabay para ano. Okay, so let's go to the next is your moment generating function. By definition, so let x be a random variable. The expected value e raised to px, tandaan nyo ha, is defined to be your MGF or the moment generating function denoted by this. If the expected value exists first and the value is between negative h to h and h is positive. Therefore, to get your MGF, your M of x, MT of x is equal to the expectation of the exponential e raised to px, which is just for discrete, if x discrete, just a summation of the product between your e raised to px, then your corresponding distribution, and for the continuous, if x is continuous, this is just the integral of e raised to px times the distribution from negative infinity up to positive infinity. Okay, yun lang yun ha. Kailangan, instead of x, diba, we have to find your expectation of x. You have to find is either summation of x times the PDF. Okay, diba, kapag ganyan, no, equal naman, kapag naman integral of x times your f of x dx, diba, hinahanap natin yan. Yan yung ating mean. So ngayon, pagkuha ka naman ng MGF, mx of t, this is just equal to, instead of your x, we have to change it as your expectation of e raised to dx. So nagkakaroon ng exponential, kaya pumapasok na ngayon si by parts, integration by parts sa pagkuha ng MGF, no? Ito yung sa continuous. Okay, so that is it may implies MGF can be used to find the moment of x. So there are two approaches in deriving your moment of x or your MGF. Okay, so the first one is your method one is by using the theorem. If the moment generating function exists, then this is your continuously differentiable with respect to t. Okay, in the interval, negative HH for some H is positive. 0, positive. Okay, so if we differentiable, the moment, if we differentiate the moment generating function r times with respect to t and letting t approaches to 0, we will get the retro moment. So, okay, so ito yung una, ito yung kunin yung derivative at t is equal to 0. So this is now the first. Paano kung second? O second siya, gawin mo siya. Siya ba si variance? Tingnan natin siya, no? Tingnan natin mapatak tayo dyan. Okay, let's have an example. So suppose the PDF of a random variable x is given by this. Okay, lambda e raised to negative lambda x, given the indicator function from 0 to positive infinity with lambda greater than 0, obtain the MGF of x and derive the mean and the variance from MGF. Okay, so this is now, okay, the formula for MGF. So your M of t of x is equal to the expectation of e raised to tx is just, since positive 0 to infinity, e raised to tx times this is now the distribution. Okay, which is equal to, ilabas si lambda. So, ang matitira sa loob ay e raised to tx at saka e raised to negative lambda x. So, i-factor natin yung exponent. So, ang mangyayari ay e raised to negative lambda minus 1x dx. Ito yung nangyari. Okay, sabi dito para malaman natin, so yung values, so we have to integrate this. Pag in-integrate natin siya is negative lambda over lambda minus t e raised to negative lambda minus 1x from 0 to infinity, which is equal to lambda over lambda sub t, for lambda sub t must be greater than 0 kasi magiging undefined denominator. Okay, so therefore, this is now the MGF of that particular distribution, and that particular distribution is your exponential distribution. Ito, exponential under continuous random variable. Okay, so the expectation of x, sabi ito, pag nakuha mo na si MGF, kukunin mo lang yung kanyang first t is equal to 0. Yung kanyang first, ito nakuha natin, ito nakuha natin. Kunin mo ngayon siya at 0 is equal to lambda, okay, over lambda minus t squared. Okay. Okay, so kunin yung derivative nito. At t is equal to 0, so therefore, ayan siya. Therefore, 1 minus lambda. 1 minus lambda is the what? The mean of a exponential distribution. And for to get the variance, first we have to get expectation of x squared. Taking its second derivative. Evaluate this second derivative para makuha natin yung expectation of x squared based on the definition, which is short. The second derivative is 2 lambda over lambda minus t cubed, evaluated at t is equal to 0, 2 minus lambda squared. But this is just the expectation of x squared. And to get the variance, we have the expectation of x squared, which is 2 over minus expectation of x quantity squared, which is your 2 over lambda squared minus 1 over lambda quantity squared, which is 1 over lambda squared. Then we have 1 over lambda squared. And 1 over lambda squared is the variance, and 1 over lambda is the mean for an exponential distribution. Okay? Ganun lang yung paggamit ng method 1. Pag method 2, by replacing e raised to tx in the series expansion, the MGF is already in terms of moments. So MGF is equal to the expectation of 1, xt, then xt squared over 2 factorial, and so on and so forth. We have 1 plus mu sub 1 prime plus mu sub 2 prime, t squared 2 factorial, and so on and so forth. And the Rth row moment that we obtain is just getting your coefficient of t raised to r over r factorial. Suppose that you are given this, and this is now your MGF, no? This is now your MGF where t is absent with less than 1 over beta, and beta is greater than 0 and alpha is greater than 0. The moment of expressing your MGF is in terms of, we have to recall the formula for 1 minus x raised to negative n. This is the formula. Then 1 minus beta, 1 minus b sub t raised to negative alpha is equal to this. Then by expansion is equal to this. Then we're going to get the Rth moment is tr over r factorial for mu sub r factorial in terms of r is alpha plus r minus 1 r beta sub r. So ito, pero hindi ko naman masyadong ginagamit yung part na yon. Yung number 2. Ang lang number 1 ang gagamitin natin. Okay, so there is a uniqueness theorem that if x and y are two random variables, with CDF, both CDF, ito nag-exist respectively. This is for X, this is for Y, no? Suppose that the MGF of both exists and are equal to every P element in negative H to H, where H is positive, then two CDFs are said to be equal. Conversely, if they're equal for every real number X, then the corresponding MGF is also equal. Okay, so based on the uniqueness theorem, the MGF2 variables are identical if in only F they have the same distribution. Last, the MGF is also used in proving the random variable possesses a particular probability distribution. So this application of MGF will exhibited in the last chapter of this course. So therefore, another exercises, try it, no? Lagyan nyo na lang number kung ano mga numbers na yan. And that is now your MGF, the moment generating function. And we have now the last part is the factorial moment generating function. Let x be a random variable. The factorial moment generating function of x is defined to be e raised to tx. Kanina, t raised to x. Kanina kasi e raised to tx. Kapag MGF dito, expectation of t raised to x if its expectation exists. Okay, so the factorial moment generating function is used to generate moments in the same way as the row moments are obtained from the MGF, except that t approaches 1 instead of 0. This sometimes simplify in finding the moments of a discrete distribution. Okay, example, suppose your PMX of x is your P of x and taken x, so discrete ginagamit. So P raised to x, 1 minus P, 1 minus x, given, this is now your, sabi natin kanina, this is now your what? This is now your binomial distribution obtained from a factorial moment generating function and derive the mean and the variance from the factorial moment. So from here, e raised to tx, so tx times the distribution. Ayun. Okay, manipulating that, pag-iisang P, P1 minus P raised to n. Okay, so get the expectation of x by getting this, getting a t is equal to 1 instead of 0. Okay, so ito yung mangyayari and then evaluate np. Okay, so ito yung factorial natin. Again, this one. So that t is equal to 1 instead of t is equal to 0 pag factorial. Yung pag MGF at 0, ito naman t at 1. So this is now your expectation of x times x minus 1. And therefore, the variance using the formula given is equal to NP or NPQ if Q now is equal to 1 minus P. Okay. Okay, another exercises. So suppose na gawin nyo, itry nyo sa bahay and then pag tingnan natin, baka dyan ako kukuha or kukuha na ako ng mga isa or dalawang number na sasagutan nyo sa exam. Kaya kailangan sagutan nyo lahat para at least meron na kayong isang tamang sagot. No, hindi ko lang alam kung anong kukunin ko sa exam ninyo. Di ba class? Madali ba o mahirap ba ang mahirap or madali ang statistics, ang ating mathematical statistics. So at this point, I would like to say thank you very much to everyone na hanggang ngayon ay nakinig na hindi umalis. No? Pinag-aralan lahat ng mga sinabi ko dito kasi kasama ito sa exam nyo next meeting which is the second week of May. So kukunin ko lang yung mga schedules availability ninyo 5 section para magbigay ako ng examination. Your examination is good only for 2.5 hours. So the first part 1 will be at true or false, which is 1 to 15 times 2 is 30 points. So madali, lang siya, 2 points each siya. So ibig sabihin for 15 minutes and then ipasa na sa MS Team after 15 minutes. Pag sinabi kong stop, then picture and then ipasa sa MS Teams. So I'll give you only 5 minutes to do that. No, may pasa sa MS Teams and then after that, ay papasok na tayo sa part 2, which part 2 we have 7 numbers. And 7 numbers is 10 points each for a total of 70 plus 30 sa true or false for a total of 100 points for your first examination. And this first examination gives you a 30% of your grade, in your total grade. So again, thank you and see you on the next meeting for more discussion. Bye! Hello class, okay na? Mas naintindihan niyo yung lecture ko na may gumagamit ng glue? Or mas okay yung wala? Ah, ano masasabi niyo? Okay lang ba yun? Para sa next video ko, hindi na akong galagay ng glue. Class, okay ba? Mr. Boy ko,
Ano sir, mas okay po yung naglalagay ng glue.
mas okay sa inyo.
Okay
Kasi,
po.
kasi mas naiintindihan. Tama ba?
Opo.
Sige, so pagpatuloy natin sa mga susunod na video. Maganda, naintindihan ba? Naintindihan yung lecture? Madali lang naman yan, so balikan natin.
Yes sir.
Diba? Madali. Oo, naintindihan natin kasi pag sinabi mo kasi discrete sa continuous, pag discrete, kukunin mo yung mean. Ang mean is expectation, di ba? So expectation of x is just equal to the product of their x times the probability. So ano yung x sub I natin? X sub I natin yung mga mass points. So mass points times yung probability niya plus yung mass point na nga times yung kanyang probability and so on and so forth. Ano yung what we call your expectation or mean of a distribution. And to get the mean and the mean or the expectation of x under absolutely continuous, just use integration. Integration of x times your f of x dx. Tama? So kung given yung inyong indicator function. So ibig sabihin, pag nakuha mo yun na yung mean ng distribution. Ang mean hindi siya laging between 0 to 1. Probability lang ang may 0 to 1. So ibig sabihin, pwede siyang maging negative or pwede siyang maging positive. It depends on your, nakadepende yan dun sa inyong indicator function eh. No? Tapos pag kinuha mo naman yung variance, dalawa yung formula. So you can use the original formula, yung summation of x minus mu quantity squared times your distribution. Okay? And then pwede rin naman tayong sa absolutely continuous, ganoon din. No, yun yung absolute continuous yung x times the distribution. So halayin mo na yung mean, kung yung limit, yun na yung value ng pagkuha ng variance, dalawa yun. So the expectation of x minus mu squared times the distribution. Sa absolutely continuous naman is the integral of yung natin, yung ating x minus mu sub x squared times the distribution with a given indicator function. Okay, yun naman. And then, pagkuha ng variance na isa pa is the variance equal to the expectation of x squared. Okay, so ano siya? Summation of that particular x expectation of x squared minus expectation of x quantity squared. So yung pagkuha ng variance natin, hindi pala sa summation na yun na pala yung mismo yun. Madali na kasi kumuha ng variance sa kanang mean sa sa discrete. Bakit? Kasi kinukunin mo lang yung mass points. Yung mass points na yung x mo. Kung kailangan mo na expectation of x squared, so x squared times the distribution plus the x second mass point squared times distribution and so on and so forth. Tapos, kunin mo yung summation nun, yun na yung expectation of x squared minus, ano yung nakuha mo na mean? Square mo yun, i-minus mo, that would be the variance. For, pagdating naman natin sa integral, kunin mo muna yung expectation of x squared, which is your integral of x squared times distribution f of x dx. Nakuha mo na siya. Diba? So kunin mo naman ngayon yung mean. Nakuha mo na rin yung mean using integral ng x times the distribution f of x. Saka mo i-substitute dun sa expectation of x squared minus expectation of x quantity squared. So yun makuha ng variance. Yun na kakagamit yung integral dito. Kailangan perfect kayo sa by parts. No? Sa by parts yung integration para madaling makuha yung variance. Pagdating naman natin sa moments, ibig sabihin yung first moment, dalawa kasi yan, meron tayong row moment and we have the central row moment and the factorial. So pagkuha mo sa row moment mo, so kukunin mo lang yung expectation of x, expectation of x squared, expectation of x cubed, expectation of, and so on and so forth. No? Naka-base sa power yung expectation natin. Yun yung mu sub r prime. Yung mu sub r, central moment siya. Na kung saan, gamitin mo yung x minus mu, quantity squared, kung 2 yung moments. Kung 1 naman is naka-raise sa 1, kung 3 naka-raise sa 3, and so on and so forth, that is now your central movement. Therefore, yung pag kinuha mo yung yung second doon, expectation of mu x minus mu sigma squared raised to the second power, that is now the variance. Kaya yung factorial, lang yung simple lang yung nanggaling lang yun sa dalawa. So, that's very simple. Pagdating sa moment generating function, m sub tx, ibig sabihin nun ay the MGF or the moment generating function, ang mangyayari instead na expectation of x, kasi yung ating expectation of e raised to tx. So, kakaroon kayo ng substitute mo lang yung x ng e raised to tx, no? Halimbawa, kunin mo yung MGF ng discrete, no? Instead ng summation of x, your p of x, magiging ngayon siyang summation of e raised to tx times p of x. No? So, yun ang gagamitin ninyo. No? So, substitute nyo yung value ng x, which your x is the mass points. Okay, sa e. No? Tapos sa absolutely continuous naman, kukunin mo lang yung integral. Integral lang din siya, no? So integral ng e raised to tx times your f of x dx. Pero minsan, nakikita natin, exponential siya, t raised to tx, gagamit ka rin exponential dun sa magkakaroon ka dalawang exponential, pag una yung product dun, i-add mo lang yung exponent, saka ka ngayon mag-i-integrate. So na mga gaya ng mga sample na binigay ko sa inyo, ganun yung mangyayari. And we have now the factorial generating function, yung t raised to x, no? So instead of e raised to tx, you have now the integral of t raised to x f of x dx. So kukunin mo ngayon yung factorial generating function. So ang ganda yung exam nyo. So cover to cover from the first video to the last video. And that will be on Thursday ng gabi or Friday ng gabi. Depende dun sa mga klasiko pa na na susunod. Titingnan natin. So yun ang doon, yung magiging schedule natin next week. Okay? So any other question? Ano mga question dito? Nawala na ng kuryente, baka hindi na makapasok. Okay, sige. Mas babasahin nyo na lang yung video, maliwanag naman yung pagkaka-explain sa video. So by next meeting, you'll have your first exam. No? Kaya-kaya na ba? Kaya-kaya na yan. No? Saka medyo class, medyo kailayo ako ng konti by this hanggang June 8 kasi exam ko ng June 8 sa UP, yung aking compre. First compre pa lang yan, may second compre pa ako. Kaya ganun kami kasalang-sala. So, 5 subjects, first compre, another 5 subjects for the second compre. And second compre will be on December. Kaya itong 2021 ay medyo hectic ang schedule ko at lahat exam. Masakit sa ulo. Okay, para pagdating ng next year, writing na ng dissertation and then ready na for, sana makagraduate ako ng 2022. Okay? So, wala na questions. So, ipopost ko ito Friday, pero yung mga ginamit ko ng mga PDF, ipopost ko na mamaya after ng class ko ng 5 to 9. Ipopost ko na yung mga